Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I am your guide and host through the show. And today is our monthly series called Closing Time with Sres Linsell from theclose.com. Now, this is a partnership between Keeping It Real and theclose.com. And let me tell you about The Close. Now, theclose.com is the kind of real estate website designed to give agents, teams, and brokerages actionable strategic insight from industry professionals. They cover real estate marketing, lead generation, technology, and team building strategies from the perspective of working agents and brokers who want to take their business to the next level. Please visit theclose.com, that's THECLOSE.com, and subscribe to their newsletter so you can be notified every time they publish an article. With us, as always, is Sres Linsell. He is a staff writer and real estate coach for The Close. Sres is The Close's resident expert on real estate topics ranging from marketing, lead gen, transactional best practices, and everything in between. He's a licensed agent in the state of Michigan. Sres has been part of hundreds of real estate transactions, from modest rural starter homes to massive waterside compounds. When he isn't writing, you'll find Sres fly fishing or performing on the stage of his community theater's most recent production. And Sres, welcome once again to Keeping It Real. We're so excited to have you.
DJ, thanks for having me back. Glad to be here. Summertime, baby. I'm loving it.
We were just talking about fishing, so I got tripped up a little bit when I was reading your intro because I went, oh, we were just talking about these. What were the names of those giant flies that you were just telling me?
So I spent a lot of time with the blue ribbon trout streams of Michigan, and right around this time, end of June, middle of June to beginning of July, the hexagenia bugs come out at night. They're these massive insects that are like the size of like a Twinkie from tip to tail kind of thing, and come out at night. The fish go crazy for them. They bring the biggest trout out of the water that you'll see all year. So yeah, I've been standing in the trout streams late at night, catching big fish and drinking adult beverages and enjoying good time with my fishing friends. So other than spending time waxing poetically about the real estate market, that's where you'll find me these days.
And have you witnessed a fish leaping out of the water to catch one? Have you witnessed a fish actually catching a fly? And
oh yeah, massive. I mean, most of these flies are coming out at night, so it's pretty dark. But sounds like, I'll give you an example. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a river at midnight. It's very dark, and somebody's dropping bowling balls around you. That's what it sounds like when these fish come out of the water splashing, looking for these big flies. So,
do the flies? Do they bother you at all? Do they run into you, or do they leave humans alone mostly?
You know, I don't want to say because I don't want to discourage anybody from this amazing hobby that I have, but yeah, you get bumped into occasionally, but they don't care about humans. They're just on their way to do other stuff. Basically.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I do love trout. That's awesome. Well, today we and I apologize for getting us a little off topic, but I'm so fascinated by this when you were telling me those hex. I'm sorry, say that one more time. Hex.
Yeah, we call them the hex bugs.
The hex bugs.
Yeah, but they're a type of bug. It's a big mayfly, basically, in the hexagenia group, but we just call them hex.
Gotcha. So we have cicadas this year, I believe, and hex bugs right now as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're everywhere. Big insects. Who knew?
Well, good for fishing, I guess. Well, I know Sres and I were talking just before we started about what we would discuss today, and hope, by the way, if you're listening live, happy 4th of July or happy post 4th of July. Mm-hmm. But for those of you who are listening on your podcast app, likely maybe a few weeks have transpired since, but we wanted to talk about some recent news that Sres has been paying attention to that has not really received a lot of press over the last weekend, which is when this news hit. So Sres, do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So recently the U.S. Justice Department has withdrawn from a settlement that they had with the National Association of Realtors over some investigations of antitrust scenarios. And, I'm not on the inside of this, nor have I spoken directly to anybody with the National Association of Realtors. So my perspective on this is certainly that of an observer and an interested person as a member of the real estate community. But the long and the short of it is the Justice Department pulled out of this settlement in order to give themselves license to further investigate anti-competitive behavior. And most of us in the industry that are watching this are guessing that that has to do with both the NAR rules for disclosure of commission rates and commission, kind of the way that commissions are populated in real estate transactions, as well as an interesting little nugget about, in some cases, only allowing access to lock boxes to members of the National Association of Realtors. So, both of these things are obviously they have direct application and implication into our daily livelihood. And the fact that the U.S. Justice Department is taking a closer look at these things could be an indicator that there's some more news to come on this front.
And so just to recap, they're under the Trump administration, this anti-competitive or antitrust issue regarding, it looks like the big thing is around commission disclosure or the public understanding commissions. They had reached a settlement, and then now that the administration has changed to the Biden's regime, that has now been withdrawn, and now there may be further investigation into these sort of practices.
Yeah, that's correct, and there's a lot of moving parts to this, and I think that this is one of those situations where we're on the front end of this conversation and this story, and there's likely to be a lot more, especially with Biden's Justice Department's focus on antitrust. I don't know if you follow this sort of thing, but the Federal Trade Commission recently, a new chair to the FTC, Lina Khan, who is a 32-year-old woman who has written some really interesting things about antitrust, specifically with Amazon. And it's clear that the Justice Department under Biden is not shying away from these conversations. Lina Khan is a major proponent of strong antitrust policy. Merrick Garland, who's now the Attorney General, is a strong proponent of antitrust policy. So, most of the antitrust spotlight is focused on tech companies like Google and Facebook, but, strong trade groups like the National Association of Realtors are not going to be immune to that sort of spotlight either. So, DJ and I were talking about this earlier. One thing that realtors and brokers can do right now to be proactive on this topic is to have thoughtful conversations with their clients about how commissions are handled, what a commission is, how much it likely the dollar amounts will be based on sale prices, where that commission comes from. It's easy to say to buyers, oh, you don't pay commission. The seller's the one that's paying all the commission. Well, maybe on paper, but if you just kind of rearrange the flow of dollars, that commission's coming out of the buyer's money that they're using to pay for the house. And so there's certainly an argument to be made that commissions aren't free to buyers, that they didn't have that commission to pay, maybe they'd pay a lower sale price. So there's lots of different conversations to be had here, but the bottom line is have conversations with your buyers and sellers, be open and transparent. Do not hide the way that the process works. A lot of antitrust is born out of opaqueness to the process. So be transparent. Don't try to hide how things work. This is the way that our business operates. So be very clear about that. And then on the other hand as well, have this conversation with your broker, and broker or managing brokers, have this conversation with your agents. Be thoughtful and upfront about the way that your individual business works, and say, make sure that the people working under you know how you operate when it comes to commissions, because the more people who know about how the process works, the less likely there are for people to have hurt feelings about it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Here's a little quick quote from the Wall Street Journal article about this that happened on the 1st of July, which basically echoes what Chris just said, which was that the Justice Department sued the National Association of Realtors and had come up with a settlement. This was in last November of 2020. And just to quote the Wall Street Journal, because this really summarizes everything Chris just said, or a lot of what Chris said, the lawsuit accuses the group meaning NAR, of maintaining anti-competitive rules that created an environment in which there was little visibility for home buyers about the commissions a buyer's agent would earn. So this is something to think about in your practice, individual practice, of what are you telling buyers? Are you telling them anything? When they ask, what is your response? What is your brokerage firm's view on talking about commissions? And as Chris said, talk to your managing broker, talk to your firm, and say, how should I be discussing this? And if you aren't getting a good response there, go online and start, going through some of these forums that realtors hang out at, and start having these conversations, or even Facebook groups that you can chat with other realtors. But definitely have think about how you want to present that to your buyers and your sellers. And it sounds like transparency is the major issue here. So if you do your part to be more transparent, seems like everyone wins in the end. Because I would think I know when I was a buyer, and we'll move on from this in just a moment, but I know when I was a buyer, it was super confusing, because I know everything has a price, or rather has a cost associated with it, on top of whatever the cost of what I'm buying is. And oftentimes in retail stuff, that's just built into the price. But I didn't know how it worked. I've been buying things in stores forever. I understand how profit and margin works in stores. I didn't understand how it worked in home buying, and it was not really well disclosed to me. And I had to ask questions about it. And I suspect a lot of us maybe we just assume buyers and sellers understand how it works. But I would really challenge that assumption, because I know I was 30 years old and I was buying my first place and I had no idea. And I had to ask my agent, hey, how does it, do I pay you something? How does this work? And he did explain it to me, thankfully, in detail, but I had to ask. And so I would encourage you just to be in a situation where you explain it first, so that your clients aren't sitting around after you leave the meeting. A couple might be talking to each other going, do we have to pay this person, or how does this work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bottom line here, as far as I'm concerned, from an industry kind of analyst perspective, is the ship has sailed when it comes to the assumption that our buyers and sellers will just kind of go along with whatever we have to say about stuff. That may be the case to some degree, because they're trusting us as an expert. But we have to remember, buyers and sellers, consumers in general, have access to more information than they ever have before about how the transactions that they're a part of work. And again, for better or worse, companies like Facebook, or another example is Robinhood, these companies that offer essentially free services, their business model has shed a light on the fact that there is nothing in this life for free. When you use Facebook, you're not getting it for free. You're paying for Facebook with your information. And this is
Right.
how Facebook makes money, is they sell information to advertisers so that they can better position their products. You are paying for that service with something. And same with Robinhood. You're not trading stocks for free. You are paying for the broker fees on Robinhood with they sell order flow so that other people know who's buying what and when and how much. They're selling information. Same deal with real estate transactions. It's a different exchange, but buyers pay for their transaction in a way that if it's not completely clear to them, we're not doing our jobs. So if you want to get out ahead of this stuff, get transparent, make sure that every party to the transaction understands every fundamental step, and you've got absolutely nothing to worry about.
Awesome. Thanks. Really appreciate your opinion and thoughts on that.
Yeah, of course.
And I wanted to also talk about an article that I read on The Close just today, which is the most recent article as of today, is the 6th of July, which really caught my eye. And I hadn't really had any seen an article like it before. And this is what I love about the close is oftentimes that's what happens. I see an article, a headline, and I go, "Ooh, that captured my imagination or captured my attention rather." And so this is written by Tracy Hawkins, who is apparently a safety expert. And the title of the article is called, and you can read this just by going to theclose.com, but the title of the article is "Can Becoming a Local Safety Expert Grow Your Real Estate Business?" So what we thought we would spend the rest of the time today talking about is different certifications and designations that you may want to consider to better position yourself as an agent that isn't the same as everyone else, that has additional skills that can be developed or can be, accredited, and that will hopefully help you better service your clients and even better position yourself from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, 100%. Remember, when we get real estate licenses, we are essentially qualifying ourselves to offer the same suite of services that literally everybody else who has a real estate license is offering. And so it's up to us as real estate professionals to figure out ways that we can differentiate what we have to offer to provide value in a way that our competitors aren't providing them value, so that we can show our buyers and sellers that we're worth working with. And designations, certifications, that sort of thing, that's a great way to do it if you're doing it smartly and strategically.
And there's the challenge, I think, with designations and certifications, and we've probably seen this, certainly as agents, we work with other brokers, or I'm sorry, in Illinois, we call all agents brokers, but we'll just say agents. When you're working with other agents, whether it's on a transaction where we're cooperating to try to close the transaction, or we're just setting up showings, oftentimes you'll see in the signature line of another agent's email, just initials after initials, some sort of acronym that maybe we don't even understand. So there's lots of different certifications. And what we wanted to do was just talk about a handful of them that, not in a lot of detail, but just to let you know of some of the certifications that Chris particularly finds to be interesting and helpful in your business.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I just want to start by calling out Tracy Hawkins' article. It's like you said, it's the most recent one published on the close today. It's July 6th. But if you guys, if you're listening to this after the fact, you can go to the close and search local safety expert in the search bar, and it'll pop right up. Essentially, one of the things that, like Tracy's big message here is that you can grow your business by becoming an expert in things that your clients, they may not necessarily know to identify that are important to them, but they certainly are important to them. And just call out a couple of points that she makes here. You can grow your business by just learning about your clients' safety and security concerns. You'd be surprised how many sellers are worried about having showings because they're worried that people are going to take their stuff.
Sure.
It sounds kind of almost paranoid, but this is something that sellers definitely worry about. This is something that we can provide immediate value just by addressing there. And there are definitely, kind of official designations that you can get on just about any topic within the real estate industry, but just by going through training, by calling out your expertise in particular realms, like safety is a good example. You are going to build your business because there's going to be people who are going to gravitate towards those kind of certifications and accreditations, even if they are relatively unofficial. That's still going to help you grow your business.
Yeah, and I particularly love this local safety expert, and and again, I always think about it from a marketing perspective, and assuming that you're working with a seller, or rather you're bidding for the business to work with a seller, and maybe they've met with other agents. One of the things that if you have this sort of expertise or the certification around being a safety expert is you can build that into your presentation to say one of the steps that we take before we start accepting showings is we're going to talk about safety. I'm a certified local safety expert. What that means is I'm going to walk through every home of your house. We're going to have a conversation about, every single room to make sure that it's secure and that you're comfortable with the strangers that will be walking through here. most likely when you're not here. So we're going to do this, and here's the steps that we're going to take once we get there. Again, all things being equal, that sounds really good to me versus somebody who doesn't address it at all in their presentation.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And frankly, this is an easy win. This is something that real estate agents can do without having to adjust the jib of their sail too much. It is just a matter of positioning what you're already doing, frankly, and then taking a couple of extra steps. That is a real easy differentiator that honestly agents just aren't doing right now. So those who are taking this extra step, they can really stand out with minimal extra effort.
Right now in particular is a good time to have a designation like this around sellers, because as most areas of the country, putting a listing up on the MLS is likely to generate a lot of quick activity if it's priced correctly, because of the limiting inventory that most of us are dealing with. So this is a way to say, hey, I'm going to put your stuff on, we're going to get it up and we're going to probably get a lot of offers. But what's really most important to me is making sure that this home is secure while we're during this process. And again, that's kind of a neat way to position yourself as this idea that I care about your safety is a really interesting take that realtors oftentimes aren't thinking about. Oftentimes they're going to talk about, I care about your bottom line. I want to get you the best price. I want to help you sell this home as quick as possible. All of those are great, but that's really common. And if you could add in addition to that, some other sort of, here's what I specialize in. And Chris and I are going to maybe chat about a few of those in addition to being a local safety expert. But a huge shout out to Tracy Hawkins, who wrote this article, because it grabbed my attention, and I'm going to bring this one in particular to our realtors here at our firm, because I just think it's such a cool idea. So thank you for that great article, Tracy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just shout out again to Tracy. Tracy's also going to be a speaker at the National Association of Realtors Conference in San Diego this November. I'm excited to also be a speaker there. So if you're going to be out in San Diego this November, please make sure to check out Tracy in her session. Come on over, check out the close and my session there. We're going to lots of important things to talk about, lots of good ways that we can grow as professionals, and to be able to shake our hands and tell us exactly what you think, good, bad, or otherwise, live and in living color in San Diego this November.
And how exciting, we're back to doing in-person events again. And so for those of you who are thinking about whether you should attend or not, Chris is going to be there. Of course, Tracy, who we've been just chatting about, I'll be slinking around somewhere, and I'll be happy to shake anybody's hand who might be a listener or fan of the show as well. So NAR is in San Diego this year. So definitely. And what a wonderful place to go visit in the fall. In addition to that. Let's talk about some other designations. And we should also mention, by the way, there's going to be a link to this article, as Chris mentioned, right in the notes of this podcast episode. So you should see a link there. There's also a great link on the National Association of Realtors website, a great page that they've put together with all the designations and certifications that they recognize. And so we're going to post that as well in the notes, so you can see what NAR officially recognizes.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. So DJ, we've got some other designations. I mean, being a safety expert, certainly there's some value prop kind of built right into that. But there's other designations out there. What do you say? You want to kind of pop through a couple of these? We'll chat about, maybe do kind of a lightning round style. We'll talk about a couple of different designation options, whether or not they're worth it for realtors, what kind of benefit they might have, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm going to start. I'll start with the first one, and this is one I'm not sure that this is recognized by NAR, so I do want to make that disclaimer. It may be, it may not be. I haven't looked into it, but it's one from a marketing perspective I like, and that is the certified negotiation expert. And I think there's a couple of different variations of it, but that is essentially the gist of it. And what it does is teach negotiation strategies for buyers and buyer and seller agents. And obviously I would hope that most of us hearing that would understand there's value there in a presentation to a buyer or seller about why you should work with them. Is, hey, I've been certified in arguably to your bottom line, maybe the most important part of this process, which is the negotiation. And here's my training, here's what I've learned. And oh, by the way, only 5% of realtors, probably less than 5%. I don't know the exact number, but very few, a very small percentage of realtors have that particular designation. And I think that could carry a lot of weight in any sort of presentation.
100%, 100%. And, I'll just kind of point out as well, for most of your consumers, most buyers and sellers here, when they see certified negotiation expert after your name or in your signature line, that's all the information that they need. They're going to get value just from seeing that. The vast majority of these people are not going to click through to the National Association of Realtors website and try to find the designation and read about what it takes to get it. Frankly, buyers and sellers do not have that kind of attention span or time. They're just not interested in learning more other than this is somebody who's certified to negotiate on my behalf. Great. This is helpful. So, do yourself a favor and think about what is it that's going to give me an advantage in the eyes of my buyers and sellers. If this is going to do it, and if it is worth my time and my effort to get it, this is a no-brainer. I love this one.
Yeah, and I'll just really quickly, just to put a cap on the certified negotiation expert, let's say that it is valuable enough to increase your client's bottom line by even, let's just say 5%. Maybe there's data that people who have this designation have a certain, higher dollar amount that they foster for their clients. That's another reason to market, right? So there's probably some specific objective data, just like they say, oh, if you use professional photographers, homes typically sell faster and for more dollar. Be careful, of course, of what statistics you're using, and be careful to make sure that you're not promising things that aren't necessarily going to be. But again, as Chris said, they don't need to ask, what is a certified negotiation expert, or they're likely to understand that. So we're looking for things that designations that clients care about, or that really help your skill set. And that's one that hopefully does both. What else do you recommend, Chris?
Well, there's a handful of designations that I think just right off the top of my head make a lot of sense. One of them I'll call out here is the SRES designation. This is the certified or excuse me, not certified. It is the seniors real estate specialist. Seniors real estate specialist. If you've got a market where maybe you've got a significant retirement community or a lot of seniors, people over the age of 65, this is a particularly potent designation to have, because not only do you get some cred from, I'm just going to call it like I see it here, from a segment of our client population that has the most money to spend and the most capital to sell when it comes to homes. Baby boomers are the largest cohort of real estate owners in the United States. These folks have homes to buy and sell. If you have a designation that is going to connect specifically with that audience, you are making a good decision. And also, as an SRES designee, you get listed on the AARP website as a direct referral. So there's a lot of benefit for that particular designation.
And I have an additional reason of why you may want to consider, again, seniors real estate specialist. If you are looking to network and build professional relationships with other professionals that work also with seniors, this is a huge opportunity for you to reach out to financial planners, estate attorneys that specialize with estate planning, and having those conversations and saying, hey, I'm looking for an estate planning attorney or a certified financial planner who also works with seniors. Oh, by the way, I am a senior real estate specialist, so I would love to connect with you and start sending referrals. Maybe we can share referrals to each other. This is a great opportunity not only to appeal directly to the senior that you're looking to work with, but to work with some of those professional services that also would value that.
Yep, 100%. 100%. There's a lot of different ways you can slice the value of that particular designation. Another one I'd love to call out here is excuse me, another one that I would love to call out here is for folks who are interested in representing investors or playing in the commercial space, the CCIM designation, that's Certified Commercial Investment Member, is really the gatekeeper to top producer status in the commercial landscape, especially in major metropolitan markets, but honestly all over the place. If you have a significant representation of commercial property in your market, if you want to play big in this space, the CCIM is kind of a must-have. One of the reasons why that is it's actually not easy to get, and people who are active buyers and sellers in the commercial market, they know that to get a CCIM, there's a significant cost when it comes to application fees and class fees. You have to have a very large portfolio of experience in that space. So people who are active consumers in that space, they know that a CCIM member has put their time in and has cut their teeth. They are an expert on this sort of thing. So if you want to get into the commercial space, a CCIM is really kind of a must-have if you want to, get into the big baller status.
And Chris is right. So this CCIM, again, is Certified Commercial Investment Member. And oftentimes I hear that from even the agents at our firms who are mostly doing residential or exclusively doing residential, saying, how do I break into the commercial space? And CCIM is a really good designation to earn. As Chris said, it's not particularly easy. It's from what I can tell, it's a minimum of 200 classroom hours. So this is a process. This one will take some time. But again, if you are working with residential clients who may occasionally have a commercial need, or maybe you're thinking of switching focus entirely and going strictly commercial, you would for sure want this. But this will really, if you're still staying in the residential space, most agents who deal with residential are not going to have this. So this is a big thing. You'll probably have to explain it to your clients a bit more. But again, a great opportunity to call all of your clients, even ones that you've worked with in the past on the residential side, and say, hey, by the way, I just completed my certification for commercial investment. If that's ever something that you're interested in, I feel that I can assist you, versus having to refer that to a true, exclusively commercial broker.
That's true. And, the one thing that I will call out here, the one crossover that makes a lot of sense is, especially right now as what I'll call retail investment in real estate is becoming more popular, having a CCIM is going to be a significant leg up if you are looking to land clients who are purchasing, say, income properties on a regular basis. Like, it's a dream to have the client who's like, bring me residential properties that I can convert into Airbnbs, and if they're within, these certain parameters, I'll write an offer sight unseen. Like, that's what I'm looking for right now. These are the clients that we want. These are the sorts of recurring revenue sources, frankly, as real estate agents, that we can really build a business on. If those are the clients that you're surfing after right now, a CCIM is going to be the wave you need to be on.
Great. What else? What other designations?
How about this? Here's one I think that, again, it doesn't apply to every market, but be surprised how often this gets used, is the MRP designation, which is Military Relocation Professional. If you're not familiar with this designation, honestly, it's really pretty easy to get. There is no volume requirement for it. It's like less than half a day in a classroom. It's all and I say classroom, it's a webinar that you have to watch, essentially. Comes from the National Association of Realtors. This designation is like $200 to get, and it's really pretty reasonable. And it is specifically, it's training for agents who service military communities that experience, relatively high turnover in their populations. And this is pretty typical when you've got military bases, military academies, Coast Guard academies, that sort of thing. These folks kind of rotate in and out every few years, and they often want to purchase homes rather than rent because it makes more financial sense. If you get the MRP designation, you become the front of the line for recommendations from the military establishment that is in your community, as far as who they suggest when they need to buy and sell, when their service members need to buy or sell. I live in a relatively rural part of northern Michigan. We have a Coast Guard facility here. The couple of MRP designees here in our area clean up on Coast Guard business every year because there are people who it's a reliable source of turnover every single year. There are people who are moving in, there are people who are moving out. So if you live in a community, an active military community, or have a military installation nearby, the MRP designation, this is a no-brainer. It's easy to get. It's going to be an easy source of income for you.
And again, thinking as a marketer, this allows you to reach out to some of these if you have a base nearby, or if you have friends that might be serving in the armed forces, and say, hey, by the way, I'm not just a realtor, I'm a military relocation specialist, and I would love to, speak to some of the people in that you work with in the military, or I'd love to do, webinars or seminars. I would love to be introduced to more people. This is one of my specialties. That is a great marketing tactic to then get in, the inside of some of these places. So great idea, Chris. I love that
Absolutely.
one. And then I know we had one more, which was around a very hot button topic right now, which is around the idea of being green and going green. Yeah. So could you mind chatting about NAR's green designation?
Yeah, so NAR has a green designation that, again, it's really flashy. This is a really great one to have at the end of your email signature.
Yeah.
It's super easy to get. And honestly, this is the reason that I want to call this specific one out is this is a fantastic conversation starter because the NAR green designation, like I said, it takes like a day to get it total, and it's actually free for the first year. You can get this designation for nothing. It's like $100 a year after the first year, but it's free for the first year. And if you have conversations happening in your community around energy efficiency, around sustainability, if you have conversations around maybe renewable energy or building standards, spoiler alert, these are conversations that are happening in communities everywhere. Like this is not these are not isolated conversations. It is the exception that these conversations aren't happening. You can put this at the end of your name and you can mark it on top of it. You can say, I am a NAR green designee, an expert in the National Association of Realtors green fundamentals. That's going to get you conversations happening. And per DJ's point earlier, this also starts conversations with other local service providers in your area that are going to build your network. And I'll give you a great example of this. We have in my local market, there's a fantastic green infrastructure company, full disclosure, owned by a friend of mine, but he does incredible work on like green roofs, on eco-friendly landscaping. His company is called Inhabitect. He does projects all over the state of Michigan and all over the country for large developments. And he is hooked up with and refers regularly real estate agents with the green designation, because that's the business that he's in. So if you've got this sort of designation, you get to hook up with these other places in your community that are all working on the same ideals. There is just nothing bad that comes from expanding your network. It's all upside, and it is super easy to get, and it's free. So even if you get it for a year, you realize I don't get anything out of this, you literally have only lost less than a day of a virtual classroom. You might as well give it a shot and see what it can get for you.
Yeah. And we know that clients, in particular, younger clients, tend to ask for, I really want a property with green features. Totally. And this designation will suggest that you have the ability to find those properties, maybe more so that someone who doesn't. I'll give, this is kind of a personal example. So, and I truthfully am ignorant to why this is, but the way it's been explained to me is, I haven't explained what it is. So I live in an eight floor building. I guess you maybe call that a low rise to maybe a mid rise. And there's some rule here, we're in Chicago, that buildings of a certain size or story, a certain number of stories, have to have a certain amount of green space on their property. At some, usually on the rooftop is where developers put it. I don't know if it has to be there. So on our rooftop, which has areas for us to sit and relax and enjoy ourselves, we can go up there and and relax, half of the rooftop is actually an official designated green space. And I will tell you that that is without question the first thing that anyone ever asks when they come up to a rooftop is, wow, that is really cool. What is that? And I say, oh, it's, the city has some sort of ordinance where there has to be a certain amount of green space. Had I had maybe gone through this designation or even looked into it further, oh, and by the way, my point with saying this all is everyone goes, that is so cool. I wish my building had that. Mm-hmm. So this is something that people are thinking about, whether they know it or not. And if you have this designation, you could have a better conversation. I can't have any conversation other than I think it's a city rule, but I don't really know. So it's something to really consider learning more about, because I will tell you, people, their eyes go big when they see this particular thing on my roof. But not all of us live in urban areas where we're going to have greenery on top of roofs, but it's something that people are thinking about in every part of their life, right? Recycling now, for example, is pretty much the law, I think, in every state. So, we've adopted this green mentality, as I don't need to explain, because we all know that, but to have this designation will certainly not hurt in any possible way your ability to market to specifically even younger skewed clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the bottom line here, and I think this just goes for all of the designations that we've been talking about, is there is the time has passed, frankly, the time has passed that you can just get your license, hang out in your office, wait for your phone to ring, wait for your broker or your managing broker to hand you referrals. Successful real estate professionals, if you want to make a career out of this, you need to be constantly looking for ways to differentiate the value that you provide to your buyers and sellers and your community at large. These designations are a great way for you to continue to separate yourself from the pack. And the best way to kind of think about all of this, I guess this is kind of like my summation here, is I don't know if anybody else did this, but when I was a kid, I love to play catch with a football with my friends. And I want you to picture one kid standing at the end of the field, and he's just throwing the football back and forth between me and this other kid. It's just a one-on-one sort of thing. I'm the recipient of this football. Now I want you to picture 10 of my friends also standing around me. And when the football goes up in the air, we're all trying to catch it. Guess what? We are in a scenario as real estate agents where we're all standing trying to catch this football. And every single time you have a chance to differentiate yourself from all the other kids around you, you grow by 3 inches. So the more you can stack your differentiators, and I'm not saying you want to get 12 different designations, but you want to find ways that you can provide value unique to your community. Every single time you find a way to provide that unique value, you grow by 3 inches. And wouldn't that game be easier if you were a foot taller than all of your other friends? Because frankly, that's what's happening right now. So find ways to grow, find ways to get taller so you can catch that football more often.
That's a really great analogy, perfectly summed up. And if you're listening or watching us right now thinking, oh my gosh, there's so many different designations, where should I start? My advice would be survey your previous clients and say, hey, I'm working on my professional development right now, and I have a number of designations that I want to earn over the next year. I was curious, out of these 3 or 4, which one do you think would have made the most impact on you as a client? Meaning, what of these do you think relates most to you? And that, I think, will help give you a sense of what are they looking for? What are they interested in? Mm-hmm. And Chris is right. We have seen people who they get a ton of designations, and then it just looks like gobbledygook after their name on their signature line in their email, because it's just acronym after acronym, in some sort of long string of nonsensical characters. So talk to your clients and say, hey, I was thinking about doing this. Do you think that would have impacted how you felt about me as an agent? Do you think that would have, made you think I had these additional skills that were important to you? So survey your clients to find out what they're interested in, because boy, there are a lot of designations. Chris and I really just scratched the surface with 5 or 6 of them. There's certainly dozens more. So talk to your clients, find out what's important to them. Chris, totally. What a great conversation. As always, Chris is just one of my favorite guests that we have on every month. And really, before we go, we'd be remiss to not talk about theclose.com and to mention the Close Pro. So this, Chris, first let's talk about the Close, and then quickly talk, of course, about the Close Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an easy conversation to have. Theclose.com is the internet's best resource for real estate strategy, best practices, technology reviews, you name it. If you're a real estate agent, you want to be on the Close, because we provide you with content nearly every single day, practically just about every day now. New content that is going to level up your real estate business. My mission as the senior writer on the Close is to provide new answers to old questions every single day. We're always asking, how do I generate more business? How do I connect better with my clients? Where can I get new listings? How can I be more effective as a buyer's agent? These are just examples of the sorts of things that we talk about every single day on the Close. So if you're active in real estate, come over to theclose.com. We have a ton of value that we can provide you right now. You don't need to pay for anything. Please come and just check out the Close. If you want to know more about what we're doing and you want to go even further, we have the Close Pro. It's a subscription service. With the Close Pro, you get access to exclusive courses, including 6 simple systems to transform your real estate business, survive and thrive in a shifting real estate market, generating leads to build long-term business. That's actually a course that is currently in session. Our expert, Beverly Ruffner, the conversion queen is her nickname. She is teaching this course right now with some fantastic results, including fantastic live cold calling. If you're a fan of cold calling, or maybe you're just a voyeur and you like to listen to other people do it, come take a look. We've got all sorts of cool stuff happening on the Close Pro, including this ridiculous resource library that is chock full of literally dozens and dozens and dozens of templates, scripts, strategy guides, you name it. There's just anything you want to up your business. We've got it in the Close Pro's resource library. You can join the Close Pro. It's $35 a month, or you can sign up for an annual subscription that breaks down to just $25 a month if you were to look at that as a per month cost. Really great opportunity. You can check it out for a month, $35, see if it's worth it for you. If it is, sign up for the annual. We'd love to have you. We have opportunities for just about everyone, whether you're a single agent, whether you're a real estate team, whether you're a brokerage. Come to the Close Pro. We can provide some value to you and to your agents. And ultimately, our job is to make your job easier. So come take a look at what we've got. We want to help you out today.
Awesome. And if you haven't ever visited theclose.com, please put that on your to-do list. It's I know we're all familiar with inman.com, which is a great source for real estate news, but they're really, prior to the Close, to my knowledge, I was always searching for a news organization that specifically talked about growing your business, which is part of what this podcast is about as well. So I couldn't find one, and theclose.com has given birth to that. And they are the best resource that I've found online so make that part of your regular browsing sort of experience. Is go to theclose.com. Their articles are awesome. It's all free. And if you want to participate in the Close Pro to go deeper, of course they have that option as well. So Chris, and before we go, please, we ask every one of our listeners to just help us grow our podcast. So visit theclose.com and also tell a friend about our podcast. Just think of one other agent that could benefit from hearing this kind of conversation that we have with Chris every month, and send them a link to our show. Easiest way to do that, if they are not a podcast listener, just send them to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. They can stream every episode right from the browser. They don't have to download a podcast app. But if they are a podcast listener, just have them pull up their podcast app and do a search search for Keeping It Real and hit the subscribe button. And we'll be, sending them all of our episodes as they're released. Chris, thank you so much once again. We love having you on the show, and excited to see you in person this fall at NAR, and hope the listeners and viewers consider joining as well and going to watch Chris speak at National Association of Realtors. In fact, Chris speaks all over the country, so he is likely coming to an area near you anyway. But if you want to come to NAR this fall, you can meet us both.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to be here. Can't wait to come back.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks to everyone for listening and supporting our show, and we will see everyone on the next episode. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, DJ.